What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Sunday Q&A and 2.5-inch frame swap time. In the chat, Jackalope FPV, CMYK FPV, Michael Blades, Patio Patterson Experimental, Gary Higgins, Alexander Romanenko, Spander, CMYK again, Motoref, EBR, License to Drive, Dan Richmond, T-Bird, Arctic Quad, Paul McDonald, Aaron FPV, Experimental RC again, Alpha Sloth, Double A, and Cool Cat. If you want to hear a gangly, goofy-looking fella read your name, you got to get in early and make a comment. If you'd like to speak to me directly, all you need to do is type CiottiFPV. That's going to light your comment up in orange. You can also do a super chat. That'll guarantee that I both love you and read your comment, but you can just tag me. This is my full-time job. If you would like me to keep doing this all day, every day, head on over to CiottiFPV.com and click some buttons. Patreon helps me out the most. It's the closest thing that I have to a paycheck. I've got some stickers and some rando hardware over on Etsy, over on Fiverr. I want to work for you. I want to teach you how to fly better, help you tune, help you plan your build so you buy the right parts instead of buying stuff that you can't use and taking a bath on it. Spend a little bit of money up front. I'll get you into the right parts. You'll have a better flying rig, and you won't waste money or time with stuff that sucks. I've wasted thousands and thousands of dollars on garbage components. Don't be like me. T-shirts over on Teespring, and then a whole bunch of affiliate links. If you find yourself ever doing an order on any of these websites here, if you just hit the affiliate link before you do the order, I will get 1 to 6% of your shopping cart. You can still use coupon codes and get free shipping and all that stuff. FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, oh my god, FPV Crate, Banggood. Those are the main ones. And then here's FPV Exchange. If you're not on FPV Exchange yet, you are missing out. This is my little store over there. Here's a bunch of the stickers that I have. FPV Exchange grabs from other websites and pulls the pricing and the images in so that you can price shop really easily, and then it also allows you to sell stuff. So here it's pulling these items off of my Etsy store, as well as these little USB covers and the SMA antenna mount. But then these 5 items here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm actually selling on FPV Exchange. And what's cool about that, this 3B motor, for example, I am on the same page as Newbie Drone and Banggood. You're not going to get that from Facebook Marketplace. So whenever anybody comes to FPV Exchange and tries to price shop the 3B hobby motor, I'm going to be on top because I'm only selling them for 15 bucks each. That's pretty dope. Really, really cool website made by a really awesome guy. Hell, it even pulls in some of my Fiverr jobs. Tune your FPV drone for stickness and for smoothness and stick response. Spec out the best parts for your drone build. Turbo shill over. Let's see if we can get caught up on chat. This is mainly a Q&A stream here on Sunday, so hit me with those questions. And then once I get caught up on chat, we'll rock over here and do a little bit of work, moving this CB 2.5 into the BQE Ripsqueak 2.5-inch frame. In 1 hour, this public stream is going to end, and then a Patreon-only stream is going to begin. Usually what I do when I'm not being lazy, I just do the public stream, but when I'm not being lazy, I will do about an hour or two of public streaming a day every day, and then I'll switch over and do another hour or two of Patreon-only streaming. Just doing my best to give the patrons that literally keep the lights on in here as much exclusive content as I possibly can. I would love for you to join my Patreon page. You're also going to get email notifications when I stream, which is good because YouTube's notification system is pretty much useless. You're going to get access to my Discord server and Discord notifications when I stream. You're even going to get access to a secret Facebook group. So you'll know when I'm streaming, which is awesome. And then there's a whole bunch of articles that I've written how to PID tune really easily, how to filter tune really easily. They're not 10,000 word essays. What's happening? My nose. Stop it. Nose. Let's do it again. Stop it. Nose. Oh, my nose. Why? Okay, it's better. Let's do it again. Stop it. Oh God, why? I think I'm okay. Whatever I was saying, just fill in the rest. Lots of good stuff going on over on Patreon. I think that's what I was talking about. Let's do it again. Stop it. Oh God. Okay, we're fine. Patio Patterson says how to change stator bearings, starring CiottiFPV. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys how to change a stator bearing. Why? Double A saying hello. Freelojo dropping the link to my Patreon. Thank you, Freelojo. Gary Higgins says, who's winning the Mayweather fight tonight? The boxer is, of course. Rick's FPV says, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody is having a good weekend. Freelojo dropping the link to the page. Oh boy. YouTube did the thing and zipped me to the bottom of the chat. Scrolling back up to find my place. Michael Blade says, hot as hell here in Providence, Rhode Island. Really? Very cool. About time you guys get your summer. I know it's been nuts in the Northeast. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I have a lot of friends in New Jersey that have been complaining about how cold and wet it's been. That's what she said. Droid says, how'd it go at yoga last night? Hope you got the shot you were looking for. Flight footage too. It was I only got like half a battery in, but it was fine. We'll see how it was. Yeah, it was fun. What's going on here? Alan Cioffi has almost the same name as me, and he says hello. He put a space in between Ciotti and FPV though, and that because of that, it didn't light up in orange. But that's okay, because sometimes I just happen to see my name in the chat. But yeah, for the record, guys, if you put a space in between Ciotti and FPV, it won't light up in orange. If you don't put a space, it will. You don't have to put the @ sign, but you certainly can. Just as a reminder. What's up, Alan? Good job having a first name and last name that are almost identical to mine. Matthew Vega says, what would make Black Box Explorer never graph anything in the black area and shoe ZNAN and ENAN on the right side? I have no idea, man. That sounds super weird. I don't actually use Black Box. I did at one point, but I just kind of don't need to. Like, I can hear, like, if you don't have enough filtering or if you have too much P or D gain, you can hear it the second that you arm the quad, if you know what to listen for. And then if the rig ever death rolls, I just go back and watch the HD and I see which corner it death rolled on, and that tells me either that corner or that ESC channel are shot. So yeah, I haven't needed to use Black Box in years. But I also make it a point to use good components, good electronics that I've tested very thoroughly. Down below in all the descriptions of all my streams is a list of all those items. So if you go down there, it's a little section called the gear that I use and trust. If you use that same gear, you also will pretty much not need to use black box. So yeah, sorry, I can't really help, Matthew. That sounds nuts. Link up with UAV Tech. Mark Spatz is the black box guru. He will totally help you out. Or go to Facebook and search for like Betaflight Black Box. There is a Facebook group called Betaflight Black Box something or other. Bunch of people that know black box upside down, backwards, inside and out. Zach Lothamer says, besides BL Heli S versus BL Heli 32, what's the difference between the SpeedX 20x20 ESC and the Acon 20x20? Zach, if you're referring to the SpeedX 20x20 ESC down below in my description, that is meant for micros only. The Acon 20x20 ESC is meant for 5-inch rigs. You could technically put it into a micro, but don't do that. It's way too big. It's way too heavy. There's absolutely no reason to run the Acon 20x20 in a micro. It's just a complete waste of money and space and weight. To my knowledge, SpeedX doesn't really have a good 20x20 ESC for 5-inch rigs. So yeah, I assume that's what you're talking about. If SpeedX does have a 20x20 ESC that's meant for 5-inch rigs, I would not run it. I've not had good luck with SpeedX's big ESCs. I've had really good luck with their smaller micro focused ESCs. Kind of no reason to not run an Acon ESC for a 5-inch rig. There's just nothing else that can compete. Hobby Wings quality control has gone to hell recently, and I never found their quality control to be that good anyway. They have been better than most of the other ESCs out there, but that's more because most of the other ESCs out there are total dog shit. And then Hobby Wing is just kind of okay, and then Acon stuff is actually good. So yeah, use Acon stuff. They don't spend any money on marketing. They put all of their money into making a good quality product, and you know, I don't give a shit about like running the popular components. I care about running components that work well and don't blow up and catch on fire. But you know, maybe that's why I don't have a very popular YouTube channel compared to some other people. Martin Wynn with a £2 super chat. He says, "Save my super chat. Save my super chat. Thanks. Let me help. Help you. Help me, noob." Thanks, Martin. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it, brother. If you have a question, tag me and I'll help you out. Jackalope says, "Everybody takes a shot whenever CiottiFPV says rip squeak." Freelojo dropping the link to the Patreon again. Thanks, Free. Doc Cock 1000. No, 100. Doc Cock 100. I'm going to make this screen name Doc Cock 1000 with a £5, I think that's pounds, right? £5 super chat. He says, "Any suggestions for a robust 2.5-inch frame, keep breaking iFlight IH2 and Beetle Minis?" Doc Cock. It's got to be the, in my opinion, it's got to be the BQE Ripsqueak. You can get this thing with 2.5-inch arms, 3-inch arms, maybe even 3.5-inch and or 4-inch arms in the future. But yeah, the Ripsqueak Micro is a really good choice. The other thing that's kind of nice is that if you build in this frame and you decide that you want to go 3-inch, you can just buy the 3-inch arms. Or you can just buy the 3-inch version of this frame and just keep using your 2.5-inch props. And then you're going to have a little bit more separation between the tips of the props. Yes, it's going to be a little bit heavier doing it that way, but yeah, eventually you might want to go to 3-inch. You might be curious about it. And having a frame that also has removable arms, and the company makes arms that are 2.5 inches. Hell, they even make 2-inch arms for this frame. It makes an awful lot of sense to run a frame where you can change things on it so that you don't have to completely tear the entire thing apart if you decide one day 2.5 inch is not for me, I want to go to 2-inch, or I want to go to 3-inch, right? So yeah, man, BQE Ripsqueak Micro, I think, is your best bet. It's the best 3-inch frame that I've found. I haven't really looked for a 2.5-inch frame in a while, but I bet you if I did, it would be the best 2.5-inch frame that I've found. Espander says props in or out? Props out for sure. There are really very little to no benefits to running props in. Chris Rosser actually just did a fantastic video comparing props in to props out. If you guys want to watch that, if you want to save yourself 20 plus minutes, run props out. It's better in every way. MotoRef says, how does FPV Exchange make money? Does FPV Exchange get a slice of the sale or something, or is it completely free service? Just curious. Thanks. At the moment, MotoRef, FPV Exchange does not make money. The creator of the site, Nevin, is an ER doctor, so he makes really good money during the day doing doctor things. I'm sure at some point, I'm not sure, I assume that at some point he will bring in like ads or something like that to FPV Exchange, so that it becomes a little bit more self-sufficient. But up until now, to my knowledge, he has funded that website completely out of his own pocket, which has cost him a fucking fortune. He has supported me an unbelievable amount, and then he's got like 7 or 8 developers that he's paid to work on the website and to continue to maintain the website. So yeah, he's just spending a ton of money to make something really cool for all of us to use. So like, go use it. It's a great site. It's really, really good. Paul McDonald with a $5 super chat. He says, give me that super chat. Love. How do I set the channel that my whoops boot up on for the VTX? The easiest way to do it, Paul, is with VTX tables. I did not take my allergy medicine today. That would explain it. This is going to be a sniffly. Now I can't talk. I'm going to put a fucking film in my mouth. Yeah, just use VTX tables. I'm pulling Betaflight up here right now to show you how to do that. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I'll plug in a little, the little 65 mil whoop that I've been using to carry the Insta360 go around for you. So in the VTX tables, there's a couple of drop downs, and yeah, those are what you need. Fairly straightforward. Here we go. Connect. Video transmitter, and it's right here. This is what you want. Whatever you set this band and channel and power on, that's what your VTX will boot up on. I would also encourage you to turn this on, low power disarm. I would encourage you to set this to on until first arm. What this is going to do is every time you plug the quad in, it's going to fire the VTX up at the minimum power level, which is usually 25 milliwatts. In this case, it's actually 5 milliwatts. This way, if you plug your rig in and somebody starts talking to you for 10 minutes, it's not going to cook the VTX. But then as soon as you arm it for the first time, it's going to kick the VTX up to whatever that power setting is that you have in here. Cool? Really, really handy feature. This low power disarm makes the pain in the ass that are the VTX tables well worth it. So do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. I'm trying to think of the lyrics to the song, but I can't. Do it until you're satisfied. There we go. Double A says, that's wild, Aaron. That's wild, Aaron, CiottiFPV. Suave FPV says, happy Sunday. License to Drive says, do you know the film Zoolander? I do license to drive. I am a fan of Owen Wilson's films. King Turkey says, how about T-Motor ESC? You already said something, I missed it. I've heard that the T-Motor ESCs are good. I have not personally tested them, so I can't speak to them definitely being good. But usually if people say that something is good, that's, I don't know. I was about to say that's a good sign, but it's really not, because people buy something, they put it into a quad, they plug power in, and if it doesn't catch on fire, a lot of times they then jump online and say, oh, that's great. Actually, they don't. But when somebody else asks if that product is good, they say, "Oh yeah, it's great. It's the best." And yeah, it's one of the problems with getting any info from Facebook groups is that 99.9% of the responses that you're going to get to your question are from people who don't fly, only have one quad, have only been flying for 10 minutes. So you got to really, really, really be careful if you're going to get advice from people on the internet. And if they don't tell you what their qualifications are or what their experience is, you need to ask them, right? Like if you put a post up, hey, what's the deal with this ESC? Is it good or not? And somebody replies with, yeah, it's great. Reply back to them and say, thanks for the feedback. How many other ESCs have you tried? How long have you been flying? How many quads do you have, right? Ask questions like that. And most people you're going to find are going to say, oh, no, well, I bought a bind and fly rig last week and it came in there and I flew it once. So, useless then. What you're looking for is people who've been flying for multiple years, who've tried 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 different ESCs. And also, to some extent, people that are not sponsored, right? Hobbywing spends a lot of money on marketing, and they have a lot of sponsored pilots. So they have a lot of pro pilots that are being paid and given ESCs for free. And when that happens, your objectivity goes somewhat out the window. Worst case scenario, you tell the sponsor, like, hey, these things keep blowing up. I don't want to be sponsored by you anymore. But are you really going to do that if you're getting free ESCs? Alan Cioffi with 2 squigglies. I don't know what that little squiggly is. Let's look it up. The little squiggly is the euro. Alan Cioffi with 2 euros. He says, sorry, writing wrong. What are you writing wrong? You wrote nothing wrong, Alan. You wrote everything right because of your name. Agar in the chat says, any recommendations for tiny whoop AIOs? Had a beta FPV die in a week building a 75mm cockroach. Agar, the only good whoop AIO, in my opinion, is the version 1 newbie drone board, which was discontinued a long time ago. I have not found another whoop AIO that I'm okay with, which is very, very annoying. If anybody has a version 1 newbie drone AIO, I would love to buy it from you. Maybe Agar would also like to buy it from you. But yeah, I've tried a handful of the different tiny whoop AIOs, and they all have pretty annoying problems that prevents me from running them. The biggest problem with you doing the 75mm cockroach frame is that a lot of the AIOs won't fit that frame. I'm looking at you, Happy Model. The Happy Model AIO does not fit, does not work on that 75mm cockroach frame. So, Agar, you're kind of stuck. Like, you got to sort of go back to that beta FPV AIO or start trolling around for the newbie drone V1. I wish I had a better answer for you, man. I really do, because I need more tiny whoop AIOs. Alpha Sloth says 2306 1950 kV okay for a 6-inch or even a 5-inch 4S long range lightweight cruiser. Already have the motors, but only use 4S at the moment. On 6-inch. On 6-inch tri-blades, a 2306 isn't going to be nearly enough motor for a properly flying rig. On 6-inch bi-blades, they will be okay, but 6-inch bi-blades, I've never found any that are balanced, so you're going to get jello in your video feed, in your HD video feed. On 5-inch, the 1950 kV is going to be a little low for 4S. It'll totally be flyable, but it's just not going to like rip like a regular 5-inch rig would. It would be a lot better on 5S. It's really meant for 6S, although 6S 1950 kV, you usually have to motor limit it down a little bit. So 1950 is actually really good on 5S. But Alpha, it'll totally work on 4S. You're just not going to have something that blasts up into the sky like it's like a stabbed rat. you're going to have something that flies more like a micro. The way that micros fly, they have a little bit less of a power to weight ratio than typical 5-inch freestyle rigs. So yeah, you'll have a 5-inch rig that has more power to weight ratio similar to a micro, which is not a bad thing. It's going to be a rig that's actually really good at like cinematic stuff because you're going to have more throttle resolution. So yeah, I would say do it. And then just start buying 6S batteries, right? Like every time you blow up a 4S battery, replace it with a 6S battery. And now with motor limiting and Betaflight, you can have 2 different PID profiles, one of them for 4S, one of them for 6S, so that you don't even have to think about it. You plug in a 6S battery, it motor limits those down to where they need to be. You plug in a 4S battery, it motor limits them up to 100%. Grumpy FPV says, I've blown the ESC on Tiny Hawk Freestyle 2. Should I replace the same AIO or mod the frame to fit a better AIO and VTX? That's a tough question, Grumpy. I mean, I guess it depends on how much you like the Tiny Hawk Freestyle 2. I tend to build rigs from scratch so that I can pick the perfect frame, the perfect motors, the perfect, etc. But yeah, I mean, if you really like that frame and those motors and whatnot, then I would just keep replacing them. Well, maybe not. Man, I don't know. Emacs, come on, man. Make fucking AIOs that don't blow up. Yeah, if you're gonna stick with that, build, maybe mod the frame. I don't know what the frame mod is. If the frame mod is a pain in the ass, then that's on you. But I have not heard great things about the. Here's what you should do, Grumpy. Go to the Emacs has a couple different Facebook groups. Go to their Facebook groups and ask that question to the people that are flying that rig and see what they have to say. It's really hard for me to answer that question because I've never had that rig, so I don't know if there's like inherent problems with the frame. I don't know how it flies. I don't know if it's too heavy. So yeah, ask the guys in the Emacs. I think there might even be like an Emacs Tiny Hawk Freestyle group. Jump in there, ask those guys. They're gonna have a better idea because they're gonna have flown that rig and they're gonna know like, hey, this is it's good enough to stick with it or bail on it, because some frames will have like inherent just problems, right? Like I remember with the original Tiny Hawk Freestyle, I think it was, the plastic supports for the motors would just break. And like that's a big problem. Like that's a reason to move away from that completely and build something that's carbon fiber, not plastic, right? So I don't want to steer you wrong. So ask the guys that are really flying that rig a lot and beating on it, because they'll be able to tell you like, yes, in the long run, this frame is worth the pain in the ass that is the AIO, or here's the frame mod, do it. It's easy, it's simple, it doesn't affect the durability of the carbon fiber, for example, right? There's all kinds of weird stuff. Or they'll be able to, or they'll say like, no, this thing is a pain in the ass to work on and I hate it. Just build something all carbon fiber. Zanakis says, Motor FPV, so not making money, just a man with a vision. I may reach out to venture capitalists since the development team isn't cheap. CiottiFPV can confirm. Zanakis FPV in the chat is Nevin, is FPV Exchange. Everybody say hi and thank him for making an awesome website for us. That is coming out of his own pocket. That's a big deal, guys. Making cool shit for other people and not expecting to be compensated for it up front is pretty rare. And it takes a pretty good human being to do that. Freelojo says, interesting info, HDRC is Flip Sky for ESK8 and they make huge ESCs. Alright, noted. Don't buy Flip Sky. Huge ESCs. Nose, what? Why? There it is. That's what's been brewing. Ugh. Here we go. Guys ever watch a grown man have an allergy attack live? Buckle up, Buttercup. Zach Lothamer says, awesome, thanks. That's what I was asking about, going to build the Ripsqueak unless your frame comes out before I'm ready. It probably won't, Zach. It'll be months before I have my frame ready. Almost guaranteed. Grumpy FPV says, Grumpy FPV says, what would be the 3-inch equivalent frame in the UK to the Ripsqueak? Man, I have no idea, Grumpy. I've never really shopped for frames from UK stores, mainly because I live in the US. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't really help you there. I just have no idea. I've never had a reason to, like, yeah, shop for stuff in the UK. If I ever move to the UK, though, you'll be the first that I let know what's going on there. Your Majesty says, hopefully FPV Exchange is using affiliate links at least. That would be really easy. They are not, Your Majesty. Nevin is actually such a nice guy that those of us that support him, he's using our, well, at some point, I don't think it's set up yet, but at some point he'll be using our affiliate links just to hook us up even more. I don't know how he does it, man, but sometimes in life you meet people that you're like, if I can be a little bit more like that guy in life, that'll be awesome. And Nevin's one of them. Don Ladd says, what's up? I have to blow my nose. It is going to start leaking on the table. Let me give you guys something to watch while I'm snotting up a fucking storm. Computer, can you fucking do anything ever? There it goes. Hopefully this music isn't terrible. I'll be right back. Let's try this again. Jesus. I'm just gonna keep this video queued up here. And I'm gonna leave Epidemic Sounds up as well. YouTube did the thing again, scrolling back up to throw up. Or try to find my place, rather. Same thing. Holy hell, I am really far behind on chat. All right, I'm gonna go as fast as I can through chat here. Ready? Oh my god, I'm so far behind. There we go. Don Ladd saying, hey, Zanek is saying, hey everyone, by the way, including CiottiFPV, can we get Betaflight to default props out? That's my major barrier at the moment. Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it, Zanakis? Man, that would be nice. I don't know anybody on the Betaflight dev team, but next time I talk to Joshua, I'll ask him that. Martin Wynn says, got an Eachine Novice 4, crashed it, spares on the way, best other similar quad to buy as a spare to work with Eachine goggles. I would assume that the Eachine goggles are just like all the other goggles. They shouldn't function on different channels. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know that Novice 4 setup at all. Nobody really sends me anything for free for testing. But yeah, you should be able to buy anything. It all depends on what you want, Martin. I mean, I think the Novice 4 is basically like a long-range rig. On Joshua's live stream, when he was showing that last week, I'd commented that like the arms are definitely going to break, like, and that Ishin should be hit with a hammer for designing the frame in the way that they did. And it sounds like I was right. So yeah, the more so that the way that build is set up, it's a 4-inch long range rig, and with long range rigs you sacrifice everything, including durability and flight characteristics, for the absolute lightest weight rig, so that you can just go as far as humanly possible. So if you're looking for another long range rig, I would assume that that's what you're looking for, right? Because that's what you've purchased here. The much more popular long range 4-inch rig is the Flywoo Explorer. So maybe pick up a Flywoo Explorer. But I would challenge you to look inside yourself and figure out like what kind of flying do you want to do? Do you want to do long range stuff? Do you want to do freestyle flying? Do you want to do cinematic flying? Do you want to fly tiny whoops inside the house? Those are the decisions that should drive the purchase of the quad that you buy. So take some time to kind of think about that, and then yeah. But those Ishin goggles should be 5.8 gigahertz. They should be able to tune into race band and A band, B band, C band, which means that any rig will work. License to Drive says, I don't want to hear your excuses. The building has to be at least 3 times bigger than this. That's a quote from Zoolander. Ramdonko says, hello, CiottiFPV. Will your BQE Ripsqueak link, will they send to the UK? Good next step for me, 2.5 inch. We'll try after stream anyway. If you're not sure, peace and love. I think that they do ship to the UK. I believe that BQE will ship to the UK. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they will. Don Ladd says, CiottiFPV for good info. Come on, CiottiFPV. Most of us know our stuff. LOL. I think Don Ladd's is drunk. Greg Womack says, that's the reason why I watch these streams. Just made the switch to Hobby Wing because multiple YouTubers said it was bulletproof. People don't understand what bulletproof means, I don't think. Because Hobby Wing is far from bulletproof. I have had 5, maybe 6 Hobby Wing ESCs blow up on me. They have not been even remotely bulletproof. They've been more bullet riddled than bulletproof. And they've not blown up from like spectacular crashes. I've had Acons survive crashes that are 10 times worse than where a bunch of these Hobby Wings have blown up. So Freelojo says, I've been bashing on my Meteor 75 20 plus packs in, and I fly outside and it gets blown around. Yeah, that'll happen. Tiny whoops outside. I always say that you guys, if you're gonna buy a tiny whoop, you're buying it to fly inside. It doesn't really make sense to fly tiny whoops outside, in my opinion. Yes, you can fly them outside, but they don't fly good outside. So yeah, Freelojo is experiencing that. Alpha Sauce says, that sounds good. I've already got a couple screamers. Need a more cinema rig. Thanks. You're certainly welcome, Alpha. King Turkey says, just a note on Beta FPV AIO. If the video OSD starts crapping out, I've repaired a few by reflowing the OSD chip. Can use a superfine tip soldering iron. Press down on each pin with ample flux also. There you guys go. If you start to lose your OSD, King Turkey's having good luck with reflowing the OSD chip. The OSD chip on the board is the one that's rectangular. It's the only chip on the board that's rectangular, and it's huge. The OSD chips that we have on our boards are like ridiculously big. So if you see a chip that looks too big, like when you're looking at the board, you're gonna see this big rectangular chip, and you're gonna go, "There's no fucking way that's just the OSD." It is. It is. I assume that it's like an OG OSD chip that's been around for a long time, and nobody's miniaturized it. Or maybe there's some reason that it needs to be that big. I don't know. Grumpy FPV says, make AIO that fits other frames. Grumpy, are you telling me to make an AIO? I can't make anything, man. I have no capital. I have no pull. I'm barely able to make a frame. The only reason I'm able to make a frame is because some amazing people have offered to work for free for me. So yeah, me making anything other than this frame is pretty much like snowballs shot in hell kind of thing. Grumpy FPV also says, thanks, you're welcome, brother. Rick's FPV says, there's a 3D print adapter on Thingiverse to convert the frame to accept a standard AIO board. Ah, very cool. So yeah, if it's just a 3D print and you don't have to drill holes or anything, then yeah, I would move, I would get away from that Emax AIO for sure. It sounds like it keeps blowing up. Richard Warwick says, bought a replacement motor, same motor size KV, same manufacturer, but they've changed the magnet size. So it's less notchy. Is it okay to use with the original motors? Richard, can you please tell us who that motor is made by and what motor that is so that nobody ever buys that motor ever again, and potentially nobody buys motors from that fucking company ever again, because that is just like unforgivable. So what's going to happen there, Richard, is that motor that you replaced, which is less notchy and it sounds like has smaller magnets, that is going to drag down all the other motors, because less notchy and thinner magnets means less horsepower. So now you've got a rig where 3 of the motors are not going to go up to 100%, because the PID loop is going to limit them down because of that one other motor, but those 3 motors are extra notchy. So you have all the negatives of 3 coggy notchy motors and none of the benefits. The benefit being extra horsepower. So yeah, man, it'll definitely work. The PID loop runs at either 4 or 8,000. You set that in the config tab. Cycles per second. So the PID loop is going to be able to pull those other 3 motors down to make sure that rig flies fine. But that's bullshit, dude. That's bullshit that company did that to you, and that really pisses me off. When the who makes the robo motors? iFlight, I think. I forget. Whoever makes the robo line of motors, they did that. They did that with their 1507. They, in the middle of the run, they just changed the motor completely. They didn't change the name of the motor, they didn't change the designation, they changed nothing. The 2 motors look absolutely identical. One of them is horrendously notchy, the other one is nice and smooth. You can't do that shit. These manufacturers can't be doing that shit. That is not cool. If there was anybody working there that gave a shit or flew, they would realize that you can't do that. You cannot do that to your customers. If you're going to do that, you have to change something about the motor. You have to change the color, the name, the designation. I mean, hopefully all the above. That sucks, Richard. I'm sorry, man. That's bullshit. CMYKFPV says, is it possible to show how you solder up the ESC to the flight controller? I use the plug headers, CMYK. What do you mean? Solder up the ESC to the flight controller. Yeah, I just use the plug headers. There was a time where I was buying flight controllers that had motor output pads on them, and I was looking for ESCs that had motor output pads because I wanted to solder them direct, because I hate those connectors. But I haven't done that in a while because it's hard to find. It's hard to find flight controllers with those motor output pads. Guillermo says, I'm flying because of Nick Burns and his giveaway great guy. I get from him a Viper's FXT V1 that I still rock to fly. Very cool, Guillermo. Yeah, Nick is a great guy. Rob Axelson says, oh my god, you're so behind. He also says, bulletproof doesn't mean Ciotti-proof. So true. Don Ladd says, no, not drunk. It was in reference to you saying about don't trust people online for info on quad parts. Silly side. Got it done. I had a feeling you weren't drunk. I just had to mess with you. Scott FPV says, I'm not having any luck with 16x16 ESC. Is there a way I could fit a 20x20 in a 2.5-inch tadpole? It has 16mm mounting holes. Scott, you might maybe on Thingiverse be able to find like 16x16 to 20x20 adapters. Although I think the real solution to your issue is getting out of that frame. Armatan frames are, by and large, not all that great. The lifetime warranty is a great marketing piece, but it doesn't really make much sense because the warranty procedure takes a long time, and you're never going to get... And they charge so much money for their frames that you're never going to warranty repair it often enough to offset the amount of extra money that you're paying. So yeah, I would get out of that Armatan frame. They also don't design their frames properly, and they don't orient the carbon fiber properly. There's a lot of issues with Armatan frames. So yeah, it sounds like this is a good opportunity for you to get out of that frame, which is just going to cause you, even once you get the thing up in the air, you're going to have problems with the arms being too wobbly because the carbon fiber is not oriented properly. You're going to run into durability issues, again, because the carbon fiber is not oriented correctly. So yeah, maybe this is the universe's way of nudging you away from that frame into a frame that is going to potentially have removable arms like the Ripsqueak, right? So that if you do break an arm, instead of dealing with a 2-month-long warranty process, you just spend like $4 on a replacement arm and just switch 2 bolts and you're done. If you're going to stick with it, I would try to. I think Talon Heli Direct has a Talon. I know that Heli Direct has a Talon 16x16 stack. What I don't know is whether or not it's in stock or not. Everything in the FPV world seems to be out of stock at the moment. So yeah, there's some feedback for you, Scott. Some of it I'm sure you don't want to hear, but I'll always tell you guys what you don't want to hear if I think it's going to be beneficial to you. I hate to be the bad guy, but I want you guys to fly good gear, and there's a lot of gear out there that's not good, and goddamn, and I wasted a lot of time and money flying bad gear when I was new, and I wish there'd been someone to tell me, hey, that frame that you've bought 6 of now is garbage because the carbon fiber is 45 degrees in the wrong direction, and that's why it keeps breaking, and that's why it's impossible to tune it, and that's why you've got jello all the time. So yeah, Martin Wynn with a £5 super chat. He says, "Respect, dude. Best Patreon level for me. I want to freestyle cheap as possible to learn. Sorry about your allergy. Respect. Keep it going." Thank you, Martin. Very cool of you to jump onto the Patreon. Much appreciated. Welcome to the collective, my man. You want freestyle as cheap as possible. That's kind of my thing too, but within reason. Like, as cheap as possible, top to bottom, you're going to end up with some gear that doesn't survive and ends up costing you more money in the long run. So, like, for example, ESCs, right? You can get like a $25 ESC for a 5-inch rig, but it's going to blow up after 20 batteries. And then you're going to have to spend $25 again, and then you're going to have to spend $25 again, and you're going to be pissing time away switching out the ESC over and over again. Or you can spend $60 on an Acon 30x30 ESC that's going to last you 1,000 batteries, potentially. And in the long run, you're going to pay less money. So, yeah, scroll down below. My list of gear that I use and trust is the best mix that I've been able to find of cheap gear but reliable gear. None of the stuff down there is the most expensive option, because the most expensive options are almost always like kind of bullshit. Kind of like Mercedes-Benz, right? Where you pay like 10 grand for the fact that it has a Mercedes-Benz badge on it, right? Which is fine. If you've got the money, that's awesome. You're joining an exclusive club. But I don't have the money. So I look for gear that performs really well and is as cheap as possible. So yeah, scroll down and then hit me with any questions on Patreon that you've got. Zach Lothamer says, "Do you flash your SpeedX ESC on your Ripsqueaks with Jazz Maverick to enable RPM filtering, or do you leave them stock?" I am done with Jazz Maverick. I just do BL Heli S configurator, and then I flash them 32.7. Which is the most recent one in there, and that has RPM filtering. So we're good to go. We don't have to mess with Jazz Maverick or JESC anymore. Richard Warwick, oh boy. YouTube did the thing. Richard Warwick says Diatone Toka 1606 3750 kV. I'm not sure what that's in. Oh, so Richard is the one who said the motors. Oh, well, that's interesting. It really pisses me off that Diatone did that, but I'm really happy that we have a smooth running non-notchy 1606. I bought one of the Toka 1606s to see if it was coggy or smooth, and it was super coggy, which Richard has 3 of those on his rig, and now he bought another one of these Diatone Toka 1606s, and it's nice and smooth. As I said before, that is total bullshit that Diatone did that, and it really makes me angry, but at the same time, I love that we potentially have a 1606 option that's smooth, that runs smooth. The 1505s, the Diatone Toka 1505s here that I just bought a set of, do run nice and smooth, and that's a big deal for micros. So I am angry, but I am also happy. That still sucks, Richard. Yeah. That sucks, man. But you can buy 3 more of those motors, and you can have a rig that's way more tunable and flies way better. Who'd you buy that? Who'd you buy it from? Who'd you buy the replacement 1606 from, so that we all know who, if we're going to order a 1606 from, we need to buy it from? Because here's the other issue, right? When fucking Diatone does this and they don't change the designation of the motor, now it's like, oh, let me order this motor from RDQ. Oh shit, RDQ had a bunch of these sitting on the shelf for the last 6 months. They sent me the old ones that are notchy and coggy and worthless. Oh, well, now let me order them from CiottiFPV. Oh, I got the right ones, the smooth ones from CiottiFPV, because they move stock more often, right? As an example. So, yeah, that's why it pisses me off that, you guys know. You guys know what I'm saying. Freelojo says, the 75.5 is great outdoors. I'm saying the AIO is holding up. Oh, and the small yeet crash cracked the AIO chip in my Diatone F722 Mini Mark III. That sucks, Freelojo. It's good that the 75.5 is great outdoors, though. The 75 mil whoops do way better outside than the 65s, that's for sure. I still think they fly like ass, but I'm very spoiled. I build rigs that fly like as good as they possibly can. So take things that I say with a little bit of a grain of salt, because I build rigs that fly like, yeah, I've got a shitload of experience, and I know exactly how to build a rig that's going to fly as good as humanly possible for that particular situation. So when I say like, oh, a 75mm tiny whoop flies like ass outside, you guys might think it flies totally fine outside. But that's just because you haven't flown a non-ducted 75mm rig, for example, outside, to see how much better that actually flies. Broccoli says, you still here? CiottiFPV got done swinging my balls off outside. I guess Broccoli was out playing. Yeah, it is hot here in the South lately. Broccoli with a $2 super chat. Thank you, brother, for the support. No comment, just wants to support the fucking madness that is FPV as a living. 661 FPV says, need new 5-inch batteries. Looking at the Black Label China Hobby lines, are they good? Why are they so cheap? Usually cheap and good are not sort of together. China Hobby line batteries are very, very heavy, which I don't love. If you're looking for a cheap battery, I like the Ovonic 6S 1000 mAh. They are pretty damn decent for $19.99 per battery. I fly the Tattoo R-Line version 1 6S 1050s. They cost $30 a battery, so they're definitely more expensive, but they're lighter and they perform much better than any of the... They're the cheapest battery that has that weight and performance that I'm looking for. Another option is the HeliDirect Talon 6S 1150. That's also really good. So yeah, those are my 3 batteries of choice at the moment. Scott FPV says, you're awesome, man. I appreciate all the input. You got it, Scott. Anytime, my friend. Don Ladd says, if you live the Armitan stuff, go on Banggood and get copies. They are really good. Yeah, there you go. Might as well get the copy. Haveboard says, hey, I have $50 and need the best 3-inch setup out there. Kidding. Kevin Smith says, is the iFlight F7 Beast AIO considered a whoop board? It's not, Kevin. It's considered a toothpick board. And even though they seem, and some people have said that they've been durable, according to Bob Ruge of FPV Cycle, they are no longer durable. So the iFlight F7 Beast AIO is going to be just as much of a pain in the balls as all of the other AIOs. Everybody do yourselves a favor and stop buying AIO boards. 20x20 separate ESCs and flight controllers are cheaper. They are about the same weight. They're only like 1 gram heavier, which is totally acceptable. They fly better. They tune easier. You'll get less video noise. They won't blow up as often. 20x20 stacks are better in every way, in my opinion, than AIOs. So get off the AIO train and you will start to love FPV again. I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me on a daily basis. I swear to God, I'm going to quit this fucking hobby. The 5th AIO has blown up. What am I doing wrong? And it's kind of tough to reply, you're buying the wrong thing, but it's true. AIOs are a really good way to get out of the hobby. They just suck. It's just not the way forward, in my and many other people who have seen the light's opinion. Gel Captain says Mercedes-Benz parts are cheap and the cars last for tons of miles. That is true. That is very true. They're very well made, but you do pay for the badge. For sure you pay for the badge. Mr. Huggy says, maybe you don't pay 10 grand for the badge, but you pay something for the badge, and that was the point that I was trying to make. I didn't mean to take a dig at Mercedes-Benz cars because they make great stuff, but it's very, very expensive. Mr. Huggy says, here's the Prop Fest Facebook group. Maybe we could get CiottiFPV flying out next year. I'll check that out after the stream. Huggy. Oh, shit, it's 4 o'clock. Okay. So apparently this just turned into a strictly Q&A stream. So let me edit the name. Sunday Q&A. Shortest name of a stream ever. All right, so let me get caught up on chat, and then we're actually going to hop on over to the Patreon only stream, and that's where we're going to work on the BQE rig. So let me get that going real quick here. And okay. All right, patrons, you guys have the link to that Patreon only stream. I need to come back over here. And okay, cool. So let's get caught up on chat, and then I'm gonna wrap this Sunday Q&A on up here. There I am. Broccoli says, been having fun with the Beta FPV Pavo 30 that I want at Rampage. Still need to tune it a tad. I'm really interested in that Pavo frame. It looks kind of cool. Brock, do you have any experience with the other Beta FPV Cinewoop-ish frames, such as the 75X and the 85X? Here's my question. Here's my problem with this. I never fly this rig because this frame and AIO and VTX layout is like pretty much impossible to work on. Like, this is the worst build I've ever done, and this is the most impossible rig I've ever seen to maintenance. So I just don't fly it, because if I break it, it's going to be a fucking nightmare to fix it, and I just don't want to deal with it. So I'm wondering if Beta made the Pavo a little bit easier to work on. Let me know, Brock. I hope that makes sense. I hope what I'm saying there makes sense. But yeah, I never fly this goddamn thing, because if it breaks, here's what'll happen. If I do break it, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm not going to be willing to fix it, because trying to work on this is impossible because of the way everything's laid out, and it's just horrible. It's a horrible layout. What else do we got going on here? Paul McDonald says, what temperature do you desolder your battery term pads at? Desolder your battery terminal pads. Desolder your battery terminal pads. I do everything at 700 Fahrenheit. I don't really change my my temperature anymore. It also depends on what. If I were to change the temperature for different things, it would depend on the gauge of the battery wire. So like a 5-inch rig with big thick ass 16 gauge wires, I could probably crank this thing up to maybe like 720 or 740. But I just leave it at 700 and just wait, you know. I just have a little bit more patience. And then with a micro with like 26 or 24 gauge battery wires, 700 is plenty. You might even want to turn it down to 680. But yeah, I find 700 to be a really good sort of number in the middle. I don't have to constantly bounce the temperature around out of sheer laziness. Freelo Joe says, OSD, not AIO. My bad, CiottiFPV. My watch is stuck on 420. Tark61 says, I blew up 2 AIOs, one due to the power lead coming off tapping the USB port. The other, I Georgia the jungled into a tree. That's a great Tark. Respect, man. I Georgia the jungled into a tree. Good shit, man. Good shit. Broccoli says, this is my first one. Okay. The 8 screws open it up, but it does have room. So it sounds like maybe it's a little easier to work on. That's a good thing. Kevin with 5 chuffs. Thank you for the 5 chuffs, Kevin. He says, hey, Ciotti, what do you think about Chris Rosser's AOS 5 frame, and would you like to build / fly one? I think it's great. Chris is awesome. I love that it's 6mm thick carbon. What I don't love is that it's an A-arm, front arm. The Acrobrat is another A-arm style frame, and what happens is, as a freestyle pilot that shoots gaps a lot, I will hit vertical objects, and when you hit a vertical object with an A-arm frame, you break the front A-arms pretty frequently. Whereas with an X frame, when you hit a vertical object, that vertical object goes into the strong part of the X, and it tends to not break it. So for me, as a freestyle pilot that crashes a lot, his frame doesn't really make a lot of sense for me. I would just end up breaking those front parts of the arms more frequently than what I would want. So I'm probably not going to be building or flying one. But for those of you that don't smash into metal poles and concrete walls and shit like that, his frame is arguably going to be the best one out there because of how well it's been designed to deal with vibrations. So yeah, it's not the frame for me, but it's definitely going to be the frame for a lot of people. And he's also selling the frame at cost. So get you one if you're not a super freestyle smasher, thrasher, crasher, or if you just want to build a rig that you don't crash a lot. Jody Droid says, just picked up a few Tattoo 1056S V3 and V4 to test out. You're going to love the V4s. The V3s are awful heavy. But the V4s are only 10 grams heavier than the V1, which is kind of nice. CH3FPV says, why fly the 95X V2 every day? I fly the 95X V2 every day. Awesome, CH3. And last comment of this stream is Richard Warwick. Still got 4 original motors, and the new one was a spare, so I don't need it yet. Bought it from Banggood. Okay, so apparently Banggood is selling potentially this new generation of Toka 1606, which is smooth. Very interesting. Thanks for that feedback, Richard. That's super helpful. My name's Aaron Ciotti. This has been my Sunday Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come over to my Patreon page. It's only $3 a month. That's 10 cents a day. You know you can afford 10 whole pennies a day. Come on over. You're going to save more than 10 cents a day in knowledge and in giveaways and in... I post like when I see good clearance stuff, not just garbage clearance stuff, right? Which is most clearance stuff. So yeah, come on over, join my Patreon. You'll see the link to the stream that I'm about to start. Thanks for hanging out, people. CiottiFPV.com. If you want me to keep doing this all day, every day, here's a little bit more flying with some more copyright-free music. see you patrons in a couple minutes.